Hello, this is a comparison between two Steinway grand pianos that we have in stock. This is a Model O Steinway made in 1919, and this is a Model M made in 1963. The Model M is 5'7" and the Model O is 5'10½". Now both of these grands unusually have one-piece ivories. In 1960s they did put one-piece ivory, which is not so common, or not that common compared to two-piece ivory where there's a join here. That was the Model M, and this is the Model O. This was made in 1919, but it's fully restored, so when it was restored it did have the ivory keys changed. This is a Richard Rip grand made in about 1908, and that you can see the line where it's two-piece, basically front and back piece, so you have a line in the middle here where the ivories join. If it's a very pronounced line, it probably means the ivory's come off and been stuck back on again. And going back to the Steinway Model O 1919, it's got original French polish. It's not perfect. We have spent about a day trying to improve the casework. There's no sort of obvious lines on it, although the most obvious defect, if you like, is the fall here, which has a bit of crazing on it. But we felt it was reasonably acceptable if you're a musician and don't want to spend hours on French polishing, which is expensive, takes at least 75 hours, so you can imagine that's expensive. Here's the top of the piano. It's hard to video black pianos because there's so much reflection. You can see there's no sort of desperate blemishes on it, though it's not perfect either. Now the 1963 Model M is modern polyester, which is, in a way, it's more reflective, obviously, than, sorry, that's a bit of dust on there, I'll just take that off. So we're still perfecting the pianos, obviously, and the top of this piano is slightly scratched as well. So again, it's nothing desperately bad with it, but there's no sort of obvious lack of veneer missing or anything like that. But the case isn't perfect, but again, acceptable, I think. And for a musician, if you want a really good piano, then either of these Steinways are tremendous pianos. Now inside the Model M, all the strings are there, obviously, and we've cleaned up the piano as much as we can. But it was good already, so just trying to perfect it again. Really, you'll try and perfect every piano that comes in. The soundboard is perfect. We've obviously cleaned that as well, and the whole piano, whole frame is good, so that's encouraging. The inside of the Model O, again, the tuning pins are extremely tight. These are replaced pins. It's been restrung. The other piano has original, but they're tight on both pianos really. And the inside of this, I think, is acceptable. So let's just start listening to the tone of the piano. So this is the 1919 Model O. And it's been very well restored, well restrung, good string line here, as we've mentioned before many times. As I say, replace tuning pins very tight. I've just tuned this actually, and it's always nice to tune a piano and then you can think about it in more depth, and try to do that before I make the videos. So the bridge is perfect. There's nothing on it that you could say is defective. And I was impressed with the clarity of the tone of this right up to the top. And as we'll see soon, it has new hammers and all Steinway parts apparently. And the date given for the restoration, or when the client bought it, was after it was restored, is 1991. Sorry. And the 1963 Model M. So they're both excellent pianos. Now, of course, musicians, touch is so important, and this is light. This is the Steinway M, has a light touch. This is about 40 grams, and you can see that they're going down with 40 grams. I made it sort of, say, 41 grams plus or minus 2 grams. So we're not trying to get it as even as possible. That's an acceptable range, I think. If you want it really, really even, I don't think you get much better on new pianos. Have a similar range. Perhaps 1 gram less range, but this touch is really very, very controlled and very light, as I say. So for an occasional player, as we said before, light touch is ideal for you. And the Model O 1990 has a normal touch. This is 48 grams. I think this was plus or minus 2 as well, roughly. So that's the kind of touch we're looking for. And we set it at that ourselves. That one's not quite going down, so that might be just one or 2 grams heavier than 48, so 50 grams. But the variety of touch, again, is roughly, there we are, that's going down, with a bit of encouragement to get rid of this over the initial inertia. So these are set very well, actually. It's often been well weighted and well restored. Now, looking at the action on the restored Model O, it's always good to see these little shims. That shows that they've really tried to travel the hammer accurately, which is, if you're a restorer, you'll know that that's really important. You want to hit all 3 strings evenly and also be travelling at the same time as the one, so without an increase in angle, for instance. There you often get them going in different directions, as it were. Well, the important thing here as well is how well it's been done in terms of voicing. And we want a soft hammer down here, and it is very soft down there, and then we want it harder as we go up. So that's good. I have done some fine voicing as well. Well, as we've said before, voicing never finishes, really. You want to get it as perfect as possible. And the regulation, let's have a look at the springs. So they're lifting up. If I release the back check by lifting my finger off the key a bit, then it goes upwards reasonably fast, but not so fast so you can feel it too much in your finger. And then that'll last for a long time because the spring gradually wears. But these are perfect. You couldn't be better than that. So that's very encouraging. And very little wear on the hammer since it was done. By the tightness of the hinge is important here. We want to just test those, and they're all very, very tight. So I'm trying to move them sideways like that. This is where it tends to wear, obviously, in the main playing area, around about note 50, 55, which is top C, sort of upwards. Well, top C is 52. So that kind of area is what we're looking at, and we don't want too tight hinge either. So everything's passed the test. Oh, and by the way, it's nice to see a proper restorer is putting talc or Teflon, French chalk, on the roller to make it smoother, and that's been done. So I'm definitely impressed with the restoration on this piano. We could try and refine. I can't really find much refinement to do, which is very, very unusual. So hats off to whoever's restored this piano. I was the tuner who's been looking after it's been mentioned to me, and it is somebody in the trade who's well respected. So everything's encouraging. There's just the action on the Model M 1963. Really has extremely little use. If we look at the hammers here, I can't, apart from the string marks, there's no indentation on them. The piano's not really been used since it was bought, and obviously the regulation is going to be in as well with that. If we watch again, let the back check go, the hammer moves upwards. As perfect as you can get, really. Again, these are nice and fluid. There's no looseness in these pins. And let's have a look, see if we've got the French chalk or Teflon isn't there on this one, so that's something we could improve, and we'll certainly look to improve the piano as much as we possibly can. So that's comparison rather of 2 pianos that are in stock, the Steinway Model O and the Steinway Model M. This is the Model M. Now, they're both excellent pianos. I think probably the question of which one you choose might be the length. Obviously, this one is shorter, 5'7" compared to 5'10½. But I think other considerations are important too. The touch on this one is lighter, about 10% lighter, which favours, if you're an occasional player, a little bit easier to get around. Now, I didn't find the other one heavy either, really, but just trying to differentiate between them, see what's the most important thing. This is mellower, definitely. They're both pianos I really enjoy playing. So let's have a listen to the M comparison. This is, as I say, mellow, a very fluid piano to play. Let's have a listen to the O as well. In terms of longevity, they're both about the same really. This is a fully restored one, and I think unless you're an extremely heavy player, you're going to have 20 years use out of these, and then possibly a bit of reconditioning afterwards. This is a brighter sounding piano. This is a more powerful piano. Encourages you to play loud, really. Both very, very refined actions. It's definitely a brighter sounding piano. Obviously brightness is partly the hammers, or largely the hammers, and we can mellow them down if you want a more mellow sound. But this, I'm impressed with the power of this piano and the finesse of the action. Now this is a normal weight, let's say 58 grams plus or minus 2 or so, and has a huge dynamic range. Now if you're not able to come in and you want to choose a piano, then we're happy for you to have one on approval. You can pay, we have a scheme where you pay 10 months rental in advance, and then you pay the difference after that. As an added incentive to buy the piano, we'll also say if after 1 month you decide you're going to have the piano, then we'll deduct £500 off the price of it as well. Now you could come to us, and if you can't come within normal working hours, then we could make an appointment for you to come and see the piano as well. We want to encourage, obviously, more and more people are buying without viewing, so if you've got any further questions, then please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com. If you want to find out about transport costs. If you live a long way away, by the way, the last piano we sold was to Windermere in the Lake District, so we're used to selling pianos, especially grand pianos, at long distances. And in fact, I usually try and tie it up with a free visit to check the piano in the environment that you have, which is really important, obviously. And Windermere is no problem at all. I usually take a couple of days off with my wife and enjoy the time there. Thank you very much for listening.